So hey everyone, welcome back and I hope you guys are doing well. So today we are going to solve another LeetCode weekly contest and this one is the 484 and today we are going to discuss the first two problems. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Let's start with the first one. It is always an easy problem. Let's see what the problem is trying to say to us and what we have to achieve. So you are given a string s consisting of only lowercase English letters. A prefix of s is called a residue if the number of distinct character in the prefix is equal to the length of prefix mod 3. Okay, return the count of residue prefixes in s. A prefix is a string. String is a non-empty substring that starts from the beginning of the string and extends to any point within it. Okay. Let's see the example. If the given string is ABC, then how many possible prefixes are there? There are two residue prefixes, right? So how? If we just only consider A has a one distinct character, and if we mod one like 1 with 3, so it will be 1, so which is actually equal to what they are asking. So what exactly like what they are asking us is number of distinct character, let me put it over here, should be equal to the length of distinct the length of the prefix, not the distinct, mod 3. They are asking us to find this particular condition that if uh, uh, the number of distinct character inside a string should be equal to the length of the string mod 3. If it is the case, then we have to return, then it is a part of our answer and we have to find out all the possible answer which we can find. So let's start with the ABC for better clarity, because I think it little uh, the description is not little that much understandable for the first time. So yeah, this is the example. What they are asking us to, number of distinct characters should be equal to the length of the prefix. So if we consider A, the number of distinct character is 1, and if we divide length is also 1, 1 mod 3 is also is 1. So this is our answer. So this is contributing in our answer, so it's a valid. Let's say we increase the prefix. Make sure we are talking about prefix, not about the substrings, which means prefix always start from the first index or from the beginning. You are not going to start it from the mid, right? So make sure to understand this particular thing. That will help you to not waste your time, because what happen is when while solving the contest, you are in a hurry to solve all the problem, but you miss some small important notes. So make sure to understand this particular stuff as well, right? So this is the thing. Then let's move to the second one. If the second is AB, it has two distinct characters, and if we divide 2 mod 3 is also 3 2, so which is also a valid. And what about last ABC? It has 3 distinct characters, right? If do 3 mod 3, it becomes 0, so it is not valid with our this answer. So right, so this is not a valid pair for us, not valid. So in this case the answer is 2, because we found two residue substrings prefixes over here, not substring, like prefixes over here, right? So this is the problem which actually asking us to solve. So how do we actually approach this particular problem, right? So as you know, you have a fixed point, you have a fixed starting point, and you just have to keep track of the last character which you are adding. So what we have to do, you just think what you have to do. You want a number of distinct character, and length you can easily find out because your beginning is fixed. The only thing is you just have to make sure to calculate the distinct number of character, right? So it become really easy if I just write a propose, because I know the starting is fixed, right? My starting value is always fixed because I'm talking about the prefixes, right? So I just only have to keep track of the last or character which I'm adding to my string and check if it satisfy my condition or not, right? So the idea is really simple, but how to find a distinct number of character. So for that we can use a hash set data structure, where we actually store unique characters, right? and it will gives an, like for example, let's say if we have a string like this. So I know my start is fixed. If I am at a, this particular character, and if I want to check how many distinct character I have, I just simply check the size of this has set. That will give me the answer, instead of iterating and then checking the count using the map and then storing the count and then iterating. It's too much thing. We will do this smartly, and we use a hash set where at every point hash set will give us an answer that how many distinct character are there, right? So we use that particular thing. And for talking about the length, so if I am at a ith position, then length will be I plus 1. So this is also easy, then I simply calculate it over right there, right? So this is the whole idea behind how we are actually going to solve this particular problem, right? So let's see the code. If you see, the code is exactly same what I have told you, that I have just created a variable to store the answer. Next, I have created a hash set of characters that will uh, give the unique characters count, right? Because I don't want to iterate or again and again and make things complicated. And what I'm doing over here is, first I'm storing that particular character inside the set, and I'm checking if the current length is equal or the current prefix length is equal to the size of the hash set. If it is the case, simply incrementing the count, because that is going to contribute to my answer. If it is not the case, we are just excluding that particular part, and at the end we are just returning our answer. So this is the code. And talking about some more test cases, so if you misunderstood about prefix and substring, then make sure to try these test cases by your own. You got to know more about what the problem is trying to ask you. For example, let's say previously what I thought, like what first approach which I thought, that I just have to find out the unique character, and then if it is satisfying the case, that's fine. If it is not, I'm just returning from that. From that I got to know that okay, the input string can be like this, right? So you have to also have to make sure that what are the possible values can be possible in the test case, right? So these are the mistake which generally people do, well, like when they are hurried to solve the problem or to solve the LeetCode. And most of the time when they see easy problem, they feel that it is easy, we will solve. It is good, but make sure to read the problem properly so that you get an idea about what exactly the question is asking us to do, instead of assuming by your own self, right? So this is the first question. Talking about the time complexity is quite easy. It's O of n. Time complexity is O of n. Space complexity is also O of n. So this is it. What is this particular problem? Let's move to the another question, which is the second part of the question, or the second question, right? Not the second part. So number of centered subarray, right? So you are given an integer array nums. A subarray of num is called centered if the sum of its elements is equal to the last one element, at least one element within the same subarray. Return the number of centered subarray of nums. Okay. So what we have, the problem statement is crystal clear, nothing fancy, nothing complicated. So what we have to do, we just have to, what we have to do, let's see, this is the example, right? Number of subarrays, we have to find number of subarrays where the subarrays sum should equal to the elements inside that subarray, right? So this is the problem is asking us to solve, right? We just have to return the number of subarrays which have satisfied this condition. What it means, for example, let's say minus 1 and 1 is a subarray. It's a subarray. If I calculate their sum, it becomes 0, and I just have to find if 0 is present inside this subarray, right? If it is the case, that means it is my centered subarray and it contribute to my answer. If it is not the case, then we skip. Let's see the another example. If I take this one, like minus 1, this itself is in subarray, right? So it is contributing in my answer because the sum of this array is equal to the element inside that subarray, so it's a value. if we take -1, 1 and 0, if calculate the sum is equal to 0, and if we find the 0 present in that subarray, yes it is, then it is also a value. So this is the question which asking us to do, right? So how to actually approach such kind of problem. So the one thing, whenever we saw a problem related to subarrays and count of subarray, the only one thing which will came in our mind to apply a sliding window or any other map approaches, right? But as I already as I already mentioned in one of my framework video, that instead of directly going towards the solution, make sure to understand the problem, the first part, and make sure to check the constraint. That will gives you an idea that okay, what exactly the approach you have to do, right? So the first time if you see the question, you also thought that okay, this is going to be the sliding window problem, right? But if you see the constraints, that's not the case. Constraints are pretty low, which means brute force solution can also be accepted, right? So you don't have to think about the sliding window in such scenario. Make sure to check the constraint. That will gives you an idea what problem or what solution can be accepted in this particular case, right? So I already told in my framework video to follow this kind of thing. If you haven't watched it, to watch the video, I have put the link in the description, so you got to know about what I have taught in that particular video. So as the constraint are pretty low, so we can use a simple brute force approach as well. So what we just have to do, we just have to calculate the number of subarrays, right? So you know how to calculate the subarrays. We just have to iterate over I to n, and from j is I to n, and then what I have to do, I just have to calculate the sum. And while calculating the sum, I just make sure that whatever the subarray I am creating, because this is going to be the subarray, right? And I also have to take like how I can make sure that if let's start with the brute force, like the complete brute force. This is the thing, this is the way we are calculating the subarray from I to j. Then we just calculate the sum, right, with the, let's say, the jth value. And then we just iterate another loop from I to j and check if that particular element is equal to the sum or not. Sum is equal to the nums of, let's say, k, right, not j. If it is the case, then we calculate our answer, we include it in our answer. So this is the complete brute force will look like. But don't you think we don't actually need to run another loop to actually check if the sum is present or not? If it is better if we can take some data structure to actually store, which will gives you an idea that okay, whatever element you are looking, I already had that element, right? If we got this information, then it become really easy. So why not use and utilize for that purpose? Either you can use map with which will also work, and you can also use hash set over here, like set over here, right? They both give you the answer. So in this particular solution, I have used a set. So this is the whole idea behind this particular problem. I think it should be an easy to medium problem, not that much difficult. So let's see the code. What I have been doing over here is, as I told you, I'm iterating over all the elements of the array and calculating the sum of all the subarrays, and how to calculate the subarrays and how to find the subarray. We generally use this particular approach. I have hash set which makes sure that whatever the subarray I'm including, it should contain all the elements, right? So for that I am using hash set, which will give me like the if the element is present or not in one time, which reducing me to with helping me to actually reduce to run another loop, right? And I'm including that inside the hash set. Calculating the sum, I'm checking if the hash set contains the sum. If it is the case, then I'm simply incrementing the count. If it is not the case, then we are not doing anything for it. For example, let's say consider the first case for better clarity, right? So this is the case. For the first time, we added -1 in our hash set, and then we are running a loop from here to here, right? First we calculated the sum, which is sum is also -1, and I am checking inside the hash set. Okay, hash set, you had this particular element, is hash set return true, then we simply increment the value of count as 1. Then again we got a 1, we put inside our hash set. Hash set has these two elements. Now the sum becomes 0. In this case, if we find is hash set contains that particular sum, but in this case hash set return 2, so we didn't do anything. Then we move to a 0, then our hash set become this, and the value of sum is 0, right? Now we again check if this sum 0 is present. Yes, it is. Then simply increment the count, and we just have to repeat this process for all the indexes, right? So this is the code of this particular problem. And talking about the time complexity, so which is O of n square, not sorry, that it's O of n square, because first we are running O of n, and inside that loop we are running another loop which is also running for the n times. So the time complexity is O of n square, and the space complexity is also O of n, because we are using hash set for storing all the elements from I to n. So this is it. So this is it about this particular problem, and I think both are the really good problem and really easy problem. And if you have had work upon various concepts of such similar problem, then you are easily able to solve it. And if you are not, don't get demotivated. It is just a part of journey. And talking about the, if you are able to understand, and if you are able to get what I am trying to say and what the problem is, you are able to understand the solution, do let me know in the comment section, to like the video, to subscribe to the channel if you are new to the channel. And I'm going to upload such more videos in upcoming days. So I hope you like the video, and this is it for the video. Bye bye, take care.